CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. Now, we have been dealing with basic CSS. However, CSS is made up of rules, and you will get into situations where you have conflicting rules or multiple rules, and it might behave in a way you don't expect. We have 3 topics: Cascade, Specificity, and Inheritance. These are key to understand how CSS behaves, or how a set of CSS rules is going to behave. Let us start with the first, Cascade. So this is very straightforward. Cascade, you can think of it as the order of the CSS rule. So if you have 2 rules that have equal specificity or weight, the one that is defined later in the style sheet is the one that will be used. Now we have 2 rules that apply to paragraph. The first one applies a color aqua and the second dark orchid. Which of these do you think CSS is going to apply to paragraph? Because now we have 2 conflicting ones. CSS will use the latest one, which is dark orchid, because it comes later in the document. Now, that means our paragraph will have a color dark orchid, just as we see here. So that is just what Cascade means. When you have 2 rules or more rules in the same Cascade layer, the one that is defined last is applied. Next, we have Specificity. Now, this is what the browser uses to decide which value is applied to the element. You can have different selectors that configure the same property. Now, a class is more specific than an element. So, if you have a class selector and an element selector, the class will be preferred. Now, let's look at these rules. We have our first rule, which is a class rule, and it applies the color dark green. This comes before the 2 paragraph rules. Now, even though these 2 paragraph rules come after the class rule, the concept of specificity says that the class is more specific than the element selector. So a class selector will be selected over the element selector, even if it comes before the element selector. So the paragraph will have the green look. So that is specificity. Don't worry, we'll talk about all this later. We then have inheritance. Now, inheritance is just like other programming languages where the child inherits from the parent. So CSS properties set on the parent are inherited by the child. For example, here I have put a particular color for the body, but since a paragraph is a child of the body, by that I mean the paragraph is in the body, so it's a child. The paragraph automatically inherits the color of the body, which is blue. So the paragraph text won't be the default black. It will actually inherit the color of the body. So that is inheritance.